a lot of the members were young. I was very young also back then. And I realized I am here sitting down at 3 a.m. leading kids. I should go out there and lead men.
But what it actually is now, it's like I'm the quest giver, like an NPC in the game. Like, this is the quest. The creatives are like the player characters. This is the quest. This is the thing that you have to do, and these are the tools that you can use to achieve that goal.
Now owning a business, having been a creative director for multiple companies, how do you balance the business aspect, the working side of the working creator? Like, maybe they're not a lost cause, but when do you say that, hey, maybe I've done my best?
Yeah.
Parang nakakabayo.
Masyadong pro set.
No, it sounds like I'm about to like do a recital. That's what I heard in my ear when I was Papiano kasi ako dati.
Yeah.
Then they would give you a metronome in ear when you do your recital.
Actually, yun yung parang pinagbasihan ko ng startup sa.
So
Well, welcome to Nocturnal Transmissions.
This is the worst intro possible. Hi, welcome to Nocturnal Transmissions. I'm Sam.
I'm Dwight.
I'm Kevs.
And this is our After Dark podcast, I think is the best way to call this.
That's the way to describe our little endeavor here.
Yeah, we just a bunch of guys just sitting around talking about shit that interests them.
Yeah, and we finally found time to record this second one after the last one was in 2023.
2023.
Yeah, the last one was last year. I don't remember most of it because I was drunk for most.
Ang weird kasi ng natin.
The rating system.
The rating system was really cracked.
We thought of it on the fly, so okay lang.
All right, what's the topic today? Tonight.
So we wanted to get together and talk about something that's very close to us. It's our daily lives. It's how we grew up in the, I would say, working adult world. So we wanted to talk about the working creative.
Yeah.
What it is, what it means to be one, what are our experiences maybe being one or working with creatives as they speak, and everything that's involved in the working creative's life.
Siguro we have to define first what we mean by the working creative.
Yeah.
And I think
Let's
for
start
me,
with that.
it's just a creative professional. It's your bread and butter. You actually train yourself in a creative discipline of your choice, and you make your living from that. I'm very pragmatic in my description of that.
What about you, Kevs?
Wait, question for that. Is it a qualifying thing to have studied in the creative field or the creative arts?
Define study.
Like university,
You have a degree?
Yeah,
It's not because I don't think it is. I don't think it should be.
Because I've worked with creatives who didn't graduate, Oh,
I'm a dropout. Yeah.
I'm also a dropout.
Yeah.
okay.
And my course
Pero,
in university wasn't related to
the arts.
to creatives. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. I didn't know that.
It explains a lot.
So why did you want to ask that?
Mainly because for the longest time, when I was in the esports industry, I made it kind of a point to hindi naman only hire, but prioritize hiring kids or like creatives that graduated from creative courses. Not because I discriminated against like
That's
creatives
interesting.
that didn't like graduate from creative courses, pero it was a new industry and it was kind of like establishing a norm na you just can't get anyone. Kumbaga kung if creative people back then wanted to get into the esports industry, I wanted them to feel the parang, okay, I graduated fine arts and I can actually use this because people from fine arts are being hired into the esports industry. So that's kind of like a
So
neat
back,
thing.
can we timeline this? When was this?
2017.
Okay. And for you, in order for you to consider them to be working creative, you had a criteria to meet at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was
So you had like a mission.
it was kind of like legitimizing their space within a new industry. Pero for me personally, ganun din.
Did you graduate in a creative course?
Yeah, Fine Arts Visual Communication sa UPD. So, yun. Kaya, ayun. I would still consider, people not from creative studies as creative professionals. Pero yun, there was a time when I kind of
When you didn't,
force
you
it.
had to.
Yeah.
How about you, Dwight? When someone says working creative, how do you define that?
So the first thing that comes to mind is being someone from advertising, like maybe some of the viewers are, it's somewhere within the realms of a job that has a creative output. TV, a video, social media, a print ad, a song. So either you write or you do it visually, graphic arts. But like as I've grown, there are other things involved in the creative industry that might not be directly creative. It might be debatable.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why we are defining terms is because in our own ways, we have issues about the way that either creatives are treated or creatives are portrayed. And it's best to define what the creative is.
They are.
And I also have an issue with the term being used inaccurately or very loosely.
Well, that actually is a good segue into what I was getting at, is a sound engineer, I would say, is also creative, but not everyone involved in the process. It's hard to say. Like, they might feel that they're creative, but they have creative work, but maybe not all of it
Like
defines you as a creative.
Like you wouldn't normally see a sound engineer in the creative department.
Yes.
He would be in the sound engineering department.
Yeah, technical department.
So the term creative is used very loosely.
Yeah.
Which sometimes maybe it's meant to include people, but oftentimes it alienates people.
Yeah.
Diba? Kasi like everyone can be creative,
Yeah.
but not everyone is a creative.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's not, I guess what you're getting at, it's also not that you're gatekeeping the term,
Yeah.
but more of also knowing which people do this kind of output.
Yeah.
You might be in the creative industry, right? But you could be the accountant in a creative company.
Yeah. Like
That doesn't mean you're not creative. You could be creative with the books, you know. You could have some creativity with how you do the books, but yeah, I think it's worth defining.
yeah, it's worth
Kasi,
defining.
I personally, if I would have a term to apply to myself, I'd rather call myself a designer than a creative, kasi it more accurately tells people what I do.
Okay.
It's an easier way. Like job description is very different from what you do.
Yeah.
My job description is a creative director. That can mean so many things.
Yeah.
But when I say I'm a designer, it narrows it down somewhat.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have to like specify, what kind of shit do you
Even
design?
linguistically, like I create stuff versus I design stuff.
Nah.
May linguistic.
And you know what
layer
else?
of
For
translation.
what else further muddies the waters, which we'll be discussing in a bit also. There are people who call themselves creators.
Creators, yeah.
Right.
And I
So-
kind of have both feet in the...
Alright.
Should we go into that, or
Yeah, sure.
so there's this, it's kind of recent, I guess. So maybe 5 years ago, the term was influencer.
Yeah.
Then it became KOL.
KOL,
Key
yeah.
opinion leader. They used to be celebrities. But it became yeah, and then influencer became a bad term. You don't want to be known as an influencer. So the term is now creator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is a creator versus a creative? Like, Kebs, I know you're a creator.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that?
Yeah.
Would it help if we told the audience what we did? Like, why are we talking about this shit? They may not know who we are
Yeah.
and what we do.
So yeah, I kind of have like both like feet in both pools because I am a creative. I'm a creative director by trade, but I am also a content creator during my free time, and I maintain a YouTube channel that covers mostly tech, a bit of fashion, a lot of gaming, and a bit of music. So yeah, the definition of a creator, it's kind of like whenever I'm working my day job as a creative director, it's mostly to solve problems. I think that's the easiest like term I can do. So the problem of how do we reach these people or our clients, or how do we convey this message, or problems like that. But when I am a creator, it's much less about solving problems and more about like including people in a conversation. So that's
how do you mean? That's interesting. The way what do you mean by that?
maybe it's just me, but when I look at my work as a creator, I mostly tackle like tech. So I talk about tech on my channel. So it's a very product-centric kind of like creative process. So I always look at it in from the perspective of like, this is something I want to talk about, because the more we talk about this, the more this tech is going to evolve, because it's going to stay in the kind of like
Public consciousness.
like public consciousness, zeitgeist, if you want to call it that, and people are going to vote with their wallets to keep this tech like relevant. So that's the way I kind of see it in like a big perspective thing. Like, these are the things I want to get talked about, so these are the things that I'm going to talk about on the channel. It's not necessarily about solving a problem, because there's no problem to solve there. Any kind of problems that I need to solve there are mostly like similar to my day job. Like, how do I fix the SEO for my video or some shit like that? But when actually talking about the tech and thinking about things to create as a creator, it's mostly about including people in conversation. So how do I get...
What about creators? I guess this is something that are more relevant to those who are informational. Like they're content creators, but they talk about how to fix a flat tire, how to fix this error on Windows or on your iPhone. They're kind of solving a problem, but like, where do you think they stand?
I think I have a good answer.
Yeah.
The problem that they're solving is the viewer's problem, and they're creating content about that problem. They're not necessarily solving it for you. They're more teaching you how to solve it, catch your information.
Yeah.
Is it more? Was that?
Yeah. I agree with that answer. It's a bit more involved process.
Yeah.
Because
Versus like tech review.
versus like a tech review where this is all the data. Do I tell you at the end of the video if you should buy this or not?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good answer.
In your role as a tech reviewer / creator, do you find it your duty to be more neutral or to
Journalistic.
or journalistic,
Yeah.
or to inject your own opinion, right? Because I know some reviewers are very, very neutral, and some are very, very opinionated, especially in the tech space, in the computer space, right? I find myself leaning towards the opinionated ones, because the more neutral ones, I can read that stuff in the manual.
Yeah.
Right? Do you have a similar?
It's a constant ongoing battle. The two sides of me are very opinionated when it comes to tech, because I've experienced a lot of tech.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand which ones are like out of the box. These are going to be really good, or this is a really good idea for tech, and it's always clashing with the side of me that there are a lot of different people in the world, and maybe I'm just not the person that this is
This is for.
catering to.
And I also think that this is also in the back of your mind that at least you should give a piece of text a fair shake or a fair review.
Yes.
That's non-biased, because in
Yeah.
order to maintain relationships also with the technology people who provide this with you.
Yes,
That's
actually,
always
that's something I actively do. So, just a little background, people watching and listening. So, yeah, my channel is monetized. It's not really a big
Plug your channel right now.
Kevin Evangelista on YouTube.
All right.
And the link is there.
The link is under the description.
Like and subscribe.
Or maybe there.
So, yeah, it's a small channel.
in here.
It's a sub 10K. It's a sub 10K channel. It is a monetized channel. Monetized meaning that I am a YouTube partner, and some of my content is available to be purchased by clients. But my main rule is you can, as a brand or as a I don't know, like tech collaborator, you can never pay for a review
Yeah.
on the Kevin Evangelista channel. Technically they can, but the thing that they're paying for is I'm not going to put an ad for sponsors in the review video, but they can never pay me to like
Pay for your
you have to say this in your review
Yeah.
video. We have to check this before you send it out. So there's no option for that.
Was it Nvidia or Asus that got in some sort of hot water just recently, like last year?
I think Nvidia.
Was it
Nvidia was kind of
Was that when they had an embargo?
Yeah, they had an embargo, so you can't release the reviews until the product has been on shelves for like 1 day.
40 series.
The 40
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, I think.
the worst. So yeah.
And there were a lot of creators that were kind of up in arms about that. Like they did like being.
By the time the review's out, you probably have bought it.
Yeah.
Proud of it, thinking it was a good card when it wasn't. So yeah,
Interesting.
That's the level of fairness that I put into the video with every tech I review. So all of this is super neutral, and I do not serve any bias whatsoever apart from my own opinions. And yeah, brands can't pay me to say good stuff about them. And generally, in my experience, they're not really interested in that kind of like negotiations with creators.
They probably have matured. Because I have heard of horror stories back in the day that they wouldn't pay you if you didn't give them a good review.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's not a review. That's an ad.
That's an ad. That's advertising.
Yeah.
That's from your perspective as a tech reviewer. The content that you produce is tech reviews.
Yeah.
We're sitting here with Dwight. I think Dwight can take the ball from here, because Dwight works in a company that deals with influencers, or as the trendy term is right now, KOL.
Yeah, I would be glad to take your ball. So yeah, I'm Dwight. I work with Unbox Content Studios. So Unbox is founded by Carlo Ople. It's one of the bigger tech
Shout out to Carlo.
lifestyle and sneaker bloggers. Hi, Carlo. I would say I'm kind of in the same boat, but in the sense that we work with creators and we work with creatives. Creators meaning our very own KOLs. They create their own content. So Mary Bautista, the people from Hardware Voyage, etc., etc. We work with different creators who create a lot of tech content, finance content, lifestyle content.
The content is very it's like a variety of content. It's not just focused on one industry.
Yeah, well, we try to corner the top creators in each niche. So we have the top tech creators. We should get you.
Yeah.
We have the top finance creators, and then the lifestyle and fitness creators. So we try to play in those spaces wherein we do have the top people, so that when we go to clients, these are the people you should be talking to. So these are creators, and creators are personalities. And you have to manage these personalities. That's the business side of that.
Is it fair to call them micro celebrities? Like if they're, especially when they get well.
I mean, yeah.
Some
Essentially.
of them are actual celebrities.
Yeah.
Yes. The KOLs are.
Correct. Patsy Reyes is one of the creators. She has a TV show. She's an ambassador of Call of Duty Mobile.
That's another nice term that I wanna like digress into. Like when do you become a micro celebrity to an actual celebrity that makes Kevs nod his head? She's an actual celebrity.
It's hard to define.
Is it mainstream media?
Probably.
Right?
But we've gotten to a point that it's like back in the day, a celebrity is someone who does movies and TV.
Yeah.
You're just an influencer if you're on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now, Bella Porch, one of the most followed, I guess, on TikTok, is a celebrity. Justin Bieber started from YouTube. Yes. And then he helped Madison Beer from YouTube become a celebrity. So the lines are getting blurrier.
Yes, I agree.
And YouTube is now our TV. So I guess there's that.
It also comes, I guess, with the maturity of the platforms that these celebrities came from.
Yeah.
YouTube is very much
right now, like the OG YouTubers are looking like, oh, these TikTokers. It's real. Like
kids.
You get older, and then the next generation is probably lazier than you. And the creative side of what we do is the studio side. We create videos. We produce videos on our own, like our own shows, but also for our clients. Like if they want to create their shows, we help them do it. And then we connect them to the creator. So
what Unbox is trying to do is becoming more vertical in the services that it can provide, especially in the realm of providing a studio, then providing talent to work that studio, and then providing a crew for that studio.
Yeah, and then providing the media to promote whatever we're talking about. So Unbox PH is one of the bigger tech publications right now. So I guess that's what they're trying to do right now, and what we're helping them realize.
And bit more like complete, like 360. So basically, brands just have to roll up to them and this is the idea, this is the product.
Yeah. I would say, like, even for us, like, we're trying to be like, it's different from being an agency. You work with us because you want to create content versus you want to create an ad.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, how does that, aside from the studio component, because agencies don't normally have their studios.
Some of them do.
Some of them do.
It's a bit rare.
So I come from advertising, you know that. I guess it's different because I guess we're a bit more blessed wherein we can do the content that we want.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Keb's like, you can't pay me to say good things about you. It's the same with us, wherein we're not just gonna create content because she said so and the product group says so.
Yeah.
You come to us because, hey, Carlo Ople has done it, Mary Bautista has done it before. How do you guys do it? And to me personally, that's really how creative work should be dealt with. You go to someone who produces creative work for what they do. You don't go to PewDiePie for a very formal, like, endorsement.
Yeah.
I would.
I mean, but yeah, it's not the natural creative world.
But what's your perspective on it? Like, so Song has been working in the design industry for quite a while now, over a decade, right?
I guess you can say that I've been in the design or the creative industry for about 18 years, almost coming up to 2 decades. And my name's Sam Alfafara. I'm the co-founder and creative director right now of Sneak Attack. And I also run my own private studio where I take in clients from mostly international. So the type of creative work that I do is very varied. One day I might be designing packaging. One day I might be designing branding. So as like a one-man studio, you really have to chase after the clients that give you the most experience in the areas that you want to develop, because that's how you build a proper portfolio. And then on the other side of it, so me and Dwight, we co-founded Sneak Attack. And it is a technical leaning, I should say design studio, but right now mostly we deal in clothing and fashion. And that's also something that I'm learning right now.
Can I just say that this is like mainly some of the main challenge when I try to explain Sneak Attack in my videos. I don't know how to fully explain it.
Right now it's a clothing company.
It's a clothing company.
But we really consciously named it as Design Lab because we want it to be so much more. We want to get into stuff that's not clothing.
But just make cool stuff.
Basically, just make cool stuff. And so my line of work has been interesting because I've been able to be on both sides. So I was a working creative since I got out of college. And just to continue the conversation earlier, I didn't graduate from a creative related course. I didn't graduate at all. So everything I learned now, I taught myself, but it all started with a hobby. Right. So I was designing for a hobby. I was designing websites to put some extra money in my pocket. I was designing logos to maybe get my paon for the next day when I was studying abroad. And so I've been on both sides, meaning I was working from home even before the pandemic hit. So that was like, when the pandemic hit, I was working from home for like almost 8 years already. As just churning stuff out. And I don't know what spurred it in me to move out of my comfort zone and seek the title of creative director. But I did so by shedding most of my clients, and then I actually started working my way up back into corporate. And then when I finally became the creative director of an Australian company, I got to experience managing creatives, which is a totally different piece.
It's totally different.
I am very passionate about this topic. I guess this is
I guess you guys have a lot to say about managing creatives.
Not even. I want to hear, because I'm old. And like working with your creatives, your teams is one of the things that I also want to learn, because like Sam, I'm also not a graduate. No one taught me how to be an employee and be a manager. So I had to figure a lot of these things out. And now, working in advertising, now working in like this design lab, a design studio making clothing. You work with creatives. You hire creatives. And I am
you mentor
very, very interested in how do you understand and work with the working creative. I think this is really the meat for me of this topic. And I want to hear you guys, because I have stories. But I know that I am not the best manager for a creative. Because they're like, I guess I'm gonna play the devil's advocate in this conversation, but I guess I want to start with Sam. How do you work with a creative? How do you approve their work? How do you even know that they can work with you?
So basically, how do you manage a creative team?
Yes.
Regardless if it's like a one-person team or...
Exactly. Like Like starting in your Australian agency experience.
Right. So that was the first time that I actually was able to claim the title of creative director. And before that, I wanted it for so long without even really knowing what it entailed.
Yeah.
I just thought that from a designer perspective, that was the next step. Right?
That's what you should aspire to.
Yes. And can I tell like a backstory of how I stumbled into it before I answer your question? So me and Dwight, we actually met in a guild through a game.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say grinder.
That's for later.
It's for the late show.
That's for the nocturnal emissions part. So me and a couple of buddies from way back, we founded a guild called Fist. And
You said this one grinder.
so there was no fisting involved. But before Fist, we actually had like a set of Battlefield servers, and we were one of the biggest Battlefield servers back in the day.
In Southeast Asia?
Southeast Asia, ba? Yeah, well, a lot of Indonesians and Thai were playing our servers. So it was Battlefield Bad Company 2 when we started,
and then Battlefield 3.
That game was legendary, right? Battlefield Bad Company 2. Something else, right? And then Battlefield 3.
Yeah.
So they were called the Sandugo servers. We actually... Wait, were you?
No, sir.
Really? Did you play Sandugo?
Yeah.
No way!
What was your name there?
But my name back then was drag_drift because I was playing a lot of like
It's like drag racing.
drag racing in that place. But yeah,
It's like dressing up in drag and drag racing.
It always goes back to that.
but yeah,
Easy.
I was Easy Tiger. Yeah. I was the guy with always like the lowest score. I was crap. I had a lot of fun, but I was crap at it. And that's where we met with Dwight. And after that, that group sort of, when Guild Wars came out, we sort of like formed the guild, right? Pero I met Dwight when we were doing the shoot. And so when Guild Wars 2 came out, we reformed the guild. And we had I think the peak was like 500 members. All Filipino.
We had a forum.
We had a recruitment campaign.
was it like a GeoCities like thing?
No.
It was that.
He was already designing stuff.
Yeah. Guild Wars 2 was already hindi na GeoCities. Guild Wars 1 was maybe around the GeoCities.
Yes.
But Guild Wars 2 was already... No, GeoCities was around Ultima.
Yeah.
Guild Wars 1 was around when...
Probably Multiply or Friends.
Multiply, and then I bet at that time you were playing either Ragna or...
Yeah. Ragnarok.
Yeah. And then when Guild Wars 2 came around, we reformed the Guild Wars 1 guild. And at our peak, we had like 500 members. And I was one of 3 leaders. And I was in charge of doing like the whole recruitment campaign, from doing creative posters, recruiting, and then like designing the website, designing everything, making videos also for it. So I really cut my teeth and my spare time from when I was doing my private studio and my one-man studio to like actually making creative work for that guild. And I guess the guild lasted for all of about 3 years before I stepped away. And I think the epiphany was I am. I remember it very clearly, even if I was a bit not sober by then. I do remember I was sitting in front of my computer at 3 a.m. and I had just come off from a raid. I was like also a commander in when you would do like guild versus guild. I just come off and everything was cool, everything was successful, everything like we were able to capture everything we wanted to capture. But I was sitting there and I was like unsatisfied. And I said to myself, like there was so much politics in the guild, there was so much drama, and there were so many personalities. Like from 500, we whittled down to 300, we whittled down to 100, but you were still dealing with 100 people. Right? And there's 100 different personalities. Some of them would go off on chat, and then some of them would like steal people from you and recruit and get.
And they have their own cliques.
And then they would like some of them would like actively sabotage, like so like and this was coming from me who loved reading about those types of stories from Eve. From Eve, right? I was like, oh, that's so cool. But then when it happened to my guild,
It was a nightmare.
yeah, right? So I had to like sort out a lot of petty shit, a lot of high school shit, and you know, a lot of the members were young. I was very young also back then. And I realized I am here sitting down at 3 a.m. leading kids. I should go out there and lead men. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Right? I've been managing this guild for the longest time, but I'm leading freaking kids.
I should be
leading men.
I should get paid.
I love the game. That was my payment.
Yeah.
I loved leading an army to crush the opponent. That was my payment. But
I need the money component for this.
I was actually, even with a lot of the time that I was dedicating to that, I was making good money.
Oh.
Because I was getting clients from abroad.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to pursue that hobby.
Yeah.
So financially, I was pretty happy. I could travel. I could like just play, right?
How's the competition back then for design work was a lot lower?
A lot lower because people were working in offices.
Yeah.
So the competition for remote design was very high.
Yeah.
Right? I saw it was very low. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Not like now, it's really, really high. Like everyone's working. So I was just, it came to me at 3 a.m. I was like,
Also, I think the barrier for entry to the creative world then.
Oh, wait, that's another thing.
yeah, that's good. And so that's when I thought, okay, I'm gonna slowly wean off from my international clients.
Yeah.
I'm gonna step out of this comfort zone of nightly raids with virtual strangers. And I'm gonna pursue a dream that I've had for a long time, but I realized now that I was afraid to do, which is like really go out there and lead.
Yeah.
And be a creative director. And that's what started my journey. And it has been rocky, but it has also been filled with very satisfying things.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things happened to that Australian company. They closed down, and we showed up to work, and the doors were locked.
They were chained.
They were chained. Yeah,
It's not work anymore.
Yeah, I could tell that. I could tell you guys that story some other day. But
Wait, can we delve into this? It's really fascinating that you just, hey, I want to be a creative director. And
yeah.
okay, I am not a creative director. And you guys are. Talk about, before you became a creative director, what your impression was and what it is right now that you are doing it.
What our impression was a creative director.
Yeah, like before you were a creative director, what was it to you?
Sige, I think I've talked
And
for
then-
enough.
And then what it is now, because you experienced both sides.
Yeah. I've experienced working for creative directors ever since I graduated. So, when I graduated, I worked for a collective, an artist collective, but we had sort of a creative director back then. Then started working corporate clients. So mainly Unilever. Unilever was a very big
Oh yeah,
for us back then.
yeah.
Then worked for the government where I didn't have a creative director.
You're basically left to do whatever.
Whatever the scientist, the head scientist wanted.
The head
Back in
scientist.
Project Lua. Shout out Sir Marlagmay. Then I transferred into the esports industry where I was a lone creative for like a year. Other part of a year.
We share that because I was also in the esports industry for 3 years.
From Ineski.
From NSK.
Then I slowly transitioned into being a creative director. And of course, being in touch with like some of my friends in the industry and them being creative directors, I always ask for advice. Like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? Because
Was it sexy to you from the outside?
Like basically, I think Dwight is trying to ask what made you want it.
I think like the difference of me perceiving what the job was and actually realizing what the job was.
It sounded sexy. Basically,
Sounded sexy. First off, what I thought of it was, I am the main character. I get to drive the ship.
So you're Don Draper.
I got to be Don Draper.
Yeah, I get to be Don Draper.
Smoking cigs in my...
Yeah. Pulling up to the office and like...
drunk.
Drunk. I get cigarette.
Yeah.
But what it actually is now, it's like I'm the quest giver, like an NPC in a game. Like, this is the quest. The creatives are like the player characters. This is the quest. This is the thing that you have to do, and these are the tools that you can use to achieve that goal. I kind of know how to do it, but I can't leave this NPC area. So you go.
Yeah.
And as much as possible, I have to stay out of your way when you're dealing with things, and I have to intercept you at moments when I know that you're not going to be able to do this.
Right.
You need.
So you it's not that you leave the quest area, but you appear to them in an apparition when they're straying off the path.
It's like a tutorial.
Don't go there.
That's a very gamer way of describing it.
But it's like I keep running into that situation. Okay, this is the problem that you're probably going to realize this tomorrow after the third pass of this project. So this is the tool that you need to finish that, and okay, you can go execute that now.
And how about you, Sam?
How about you?
For me, it was, like I said kanina, I think it was the next step for me. Kasi what spurred me to do this, aside from it sounding very sexy, is that I thought that I knew what looked good and what didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of subjective opinion is very important. That's like the most important talent for a creative director, because when it comes to creative work, the buck stops with you.
Yeah.
You are the arbiter of taste.
Yeah.
Whether this looks good, this will work for the brand that you're currently working for, or whether it'll fail.
Yeah.
This is the title. You direct.
And you have to have that confidence in yourself to know that
Yes.
it's gonna work or it's not gonna work.
This is the
Right.
final word, that I stand by it.
Right. And for the large part, that's what it was. Right? But being an introvert, I also had to step out of my comfort zone, because I had to deal not just with the creative work, which by the way was what this podcast was going to be called, creative work.
Yeah.
But with the creatives themselves, with the people.
Yeah.
So
The
I'd say
working creative.
the working creatives, and I'd say like the majority of being a good creative director is knowing how to deal not with the work that your creatives produce, but with the creatives themselves.
Yes. Manage that.
And it's no different from any management situation. I'm sure when as a managing director, you've also when you work with different branches within Unbox, you're not dealing with branches, you're dealing with people.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that the hard way, because I'm an introvert. My toolkit for dealing with people is very limited. Right? If something doesn't interest me, I don't usually engage with it. But now I have to, because you have to deal with that person. And I think the one advantage I had was I was a working professional creative for so long that I kind of knew the ins and outs of how creatives think.
Yeah.
That helped me a lot when I would deal, like if I would see a creative lagging in their work, I would say, this guy's not feeling it. This girl's feeling off today. So it's up to me. Do I take her off it? Do I give her a chance? We have a deadline, right? So, being a notorious deadline misser myself, I
or as Charlie Murphy would say, a habitual line stepper.
myself, was a pretty hard thing to do, and it's still a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Because there always has to be a balance between the quality of work that you put out and the deadline that you have to meet.
Yeah.
Because it's right there in the title, working creative. This is work.
But you're also creative.
You're also creative, but this is work. There's a business,
Yeah.
right? But you're also creative. So there's always a constant struggle. And it's most apparent, I would say, in the creative industries. It's less apparent, let's say, if you're an accountant, if you're in operations, because your job is really to make the money flow, fix the money up, right? It's a very objective. This is you clock out when you get home.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing something funny with the books, you don't lie awake at night and thinking, oh shit, I should have like.
And the work is infinitely more measurable. I think that's one of the main differences.
Yeah.
You can produce 100 cardboard boxes.
Yep.
You can fold this many blankets.
Is it quantitative?
Quantitative.
Yeah, quantitative.
But and it is perfect. Like you took us back from the branch and you took us back into the creative work.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. So there's that thing, the balance. So how do you find that balance as a working creative? Because I would say a pure creative, kind of like an artist. You do it for the art. You do it for fulfillment, satisfaction.
I'd love to be an artist.
Oh yeah.
But then maybe again, I'm making it sound sexy in my mind.
I know.
I don't know, right?
But it has its own suffering.
Of course.
Right? So,
but I'm already suffering. Give me the damn artist money. I'm already suffering every day.
Halfway there.
all you need is the art.
All you need is the fucking talent.
But how do you balance that?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Like for you, Kebs.
I have a very pragmatic view on this. because I was having graduated from a very
Where'd you graduate, man?
UP Diliman.
Hey, that's where I went.
Yeah.
For a couple of years. Yeah.
So I was
fine arts.
I was trained by fine arts visual communication. So I was taught by very, very old and very communist professors.
Oh god.
the perspective of all art is there's no piece of art out there, whether it be made as a poster for digital
Commercial art.
or for I don't know, sick
Art.
art. There's no piece of art made that is not at least 1% self-serving. I made this because I can. I made this because it's for me.
Yeah.
So whenever I would curate my creative team's works, I would always try to see, okay, how much percentage of this is self-serving? Which parts of these things are the only things that you can make?
That requires insight into the actual person making
the actual person,
the piece, right?
Yeah.
And this actually touches on something very interesting that I want to follow up also with you, like the difference between art and design.
Yeah.
Because you touched on it briefly.
Yeah.
So anyway, go on. Sorry.
So back to the main question. It's a very. I struggle to find a word for it because it's always it's always like a talking point between me and Simon. But there's this level of reality or truth that you have to that you have to imbue into a lens and look at your work okay, this solves 60% of this thing solves the problem and 40% of this is me flexing. So what's the acceptable balance here? Because this is the kind of thing. Okay. If PLDT wants 80% of being problem solving and 20% of us showing look at us, we're an advertising.
I love that. I have my own version of that actually. And it's really more of qualifying, working with collaborators, suppliers, and even with your own employees. But the way I frame it in my mind is it's soul. How much of yourself have you put into this work? And I don't know the technical terms to describe it, but when you see it, you see it.
You see it.
It's kind of like, I won't name the nationality, but a work from a very big country has less soul than maybe the rest. They have the technicality, the CG, the money to do it. But why doesn't the movie have soul? You get that?
I get that. I get that.
And to elaborate to a smaller level, if I'm working with a creative making social media graphics for the post, how much of yourself have you put into this? And I really like how you define that there's a percentage. If I see that you put very like 1% of yourself, you did it just to submit.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah, you can see it.
Bro, I wish I had your problem where designers want to flex.
Yeah.
That's a rare thing.
Yeah.
It
That's something you cultivate.
right?
Yeah.
Most of it is just it's either the best that I can do
Yeah.
at this point, or I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
And it, like Dwight said, it's so easy.
Switch.
It's so easy to spot the bullshitters. Like, so
Yeah.
don't bullshit a bullshitter, because
Yeah.
I can see if you just like did this work to just
Yeah.
Exactly.
like, it's like the lowest effort possible. And what's funny is once you train your eye to look at design, you can actually see if they have applied low effort. It might look very clean, very fancy, but if it's lacking that soul, that spark, that effort, or that piece of themselves that they really put into it, it's easy to see. It's easy to see.
Where's the self-serving part of
Yeah.
this thing?
Yeah. But asking you the same thing. Like, what is that thing when you work with the creatives?
Sige, let's be more specific. Let's define.
So with Kebs, what he looks for when working with a creative, how does he know that I can
That
approve this?
creative is
How do you cultivate that? How do you work with them?
how, and more importantly, how do you identify them in the hiring process so that they can be part of your team?
Yeah.
Right?
Like starting from there.
Some people you can see that, all right, these are talented people.
Yeah.
Correct.
And some people you would see that, oh, I can probably make you into a great creative.
Yeah.
You're not there yet.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Consider.
as a creative director, how do you direct these people?
Okay. So I've managed teams of different sizes, and it always, I think it depends on the size of the team. The smaller the team, it's either you do it yourself or you trust that they can do it. As your team becomes bigger, you can start tiering work.
Yeah.
Right, so it's the same. Like in an ad agency, you would probably give the more important projects to like the more experienced and the more battle-hardened
Art directors.
right? To the art directors, and that thing cultivating those kinds of people who can like rise to the top. It both takes time and effort, because I have a bad habit. I don't think anyone is a lost cause.
Yeah.
I try to be as protective of my fold, of my team as possible.
Yeah.
And I think part of it stems from because I kind of understand how their brain is trying to solve something. And I kind of understand at what path I can kind of like visualize in my mind what path of what point in the path to being a good creative they are in. Right? So I see, this person just graduated college.
Yeah.
So his work is like this. But this person just graduated college also. But they already have cultivated like a good eye for color, a good eye for layout. And you start to see these specializations with different creatives that you work with. And if you have the luxury of a big team, you start to put these people into specialized roles. Designer A is really good with layouts. I'm going to give them a lot of website stuff that a lot of website design, a lot of ad design, a lot of
UX.
Yeah, a lot of UX stuff that requires them to think about how a user would go through their work. The flow of the eyes, the way that the position, the elements are positioned. Whereas someone might be more free in the way that they create stuff.
Yeah.
Like very, very well done. Maybe they're more of an artist than a designer.
An illustrator.
Concepts person.
Yeah, they like concepts, they like illustrations. They can put together a decent abstract thing, but they can't really frame it in a way that becomes packageable. And you can say, okay, hey, this is a social media ad, and I can give this out. Hey, this is like a poster, and we can show this, right? So it's you might have designer A who's really good at layout work with designer B who's really good at illustration and graphic design, and then you might have them create a poster together. So part of being a good creative director is knowing the strengths of your team. That it's like poker. If you're given these cards, you really need to know how to play them. And you stop trying to put round objects into triangle or square holes. Right?
Well, most of them fit in the square hole.
Actually, that's wrong. But,
I like what you said about like you have a tendency to be protective. You understand who they are, and you understand how they think because you went through it.
yeah.
A creative yourself.
That's why I don't think there are any lost causes until it really becomes a lost cause.
How does now owning a business, having been a creative director for multiple companies, how do you balance the business aspect, the working side of the working creator? Like, maybe they're not a lost cause, but when do you say that, hey, maybe I've done my best?
Yeah.
I think, well, in sneak attack, usually the barriers are front loaded. It's less na like a big business where, hey, we'll put out a hiring ad and then we'll go through the whole interview process and then you will be a probationary employee for 6 months. We don't have that luxury as a small business.
Yeah.
So a lot of our barriers and the gates that we keep are all front loaded. So we look at a lot at portfolio. We give them a couple of tests to figure out if they can do well. And if this is the hard part to explain also, because when you're working with them, you kind of feel that they're still at this level. And you kind of like do some internal calculations. Oh, will it cost more for this as a small business to train this person to reach that level? Are they teachable? I think that's very important. I think that's the biggest thing that I look for when I hire someone as a small business. Are they teachable? Will they be worth the very limited time and the very limited resources of the small business? Are they teachable? That's the one criteria.
Something I also look at when hiring creatives. It's not exactly teachable because I find that there's two versions in that person. Some people are teachable. Like you can give exact stuff to them. And some people learn better by experiencing.
Osmosis.
Just expose it to them.
Like throw them in the fire.
That's true. Like some of them require verbal or written.
Kasi I remember some.
But isn't that just them being teachable in a different way?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because there's difference with instruction and teaching them through experience.
I remember when I was still in the esports industry. My boss there was Jab Escutin, and he told me Jab. He told me something. I don't know if this was a quote or something, but he told me that when back then I was having like a difficult time with my creatives back then because we were rapidly growing and I wasn't able to like handle the creatives one-on-one when we were like slowly getting.
And you were used to more one-on-one interaction.
One-on-one mentoring. We were hiring 3 or 4 creatives. And
what size was your team eventually?
The peak size of the team was like 17 people.
It's pretty more than mine. I had 12.
It's more than most agencies.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was spread out between like 3 departments, but still it was a team of 70 creatives. But yeah, Jab had a quote like, I let me see if I remember it correctly. You can tell people what to do, or you can tell people what needs to happen. You can't tell them both.
Okay. Let's break that down. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's break it down.
Some people just need the mission.
Yeah.
And you just leave them alone.
The result.
Yeah.
To achieve that mission.
You figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Then some people, they need the step-by-step. So yeah, that was kind of like the substitute that Jab offered me instead of like being one-on-one with everyone, because that would take out all of my time. I would never sleep.
But do you need to figure out who is?
Yes, that's the challenge, and that's mainly a manager challenge. Instead of like,
it's got nothing to do with being creative.
it's not
It's got 99% to do with being a manager.
But it's always like tempered with the
knowledge.
Not knowledge of like these are creative people, and what kind of creative are you? Are you the kind needs instructions, or are you the kind that needs the mission? So yeah,
And you
It's a very interesting.
that's not something you can ask someone.
yeah, you
Right?
just look for it.
Because like it's not something you self-report. Oh, I'm a vision kind of guy.
Yeah.
Then you're not, right? So it requires talking a lot. So
Yeah,
that's
involves a lot of people.
it's management. It's the working part, especially as a creative manager, a creative director. So going into that now, there's a thing that's as you progress in your career. You're a manager now. You're a business owner. You're a lead in the creative team, and the entry level guy or girl comes in. Training and onboarding is one of the, I guess, helpful things in corporate to get them up to speed. So in a capitalist business, the entry-level employee needs to be brought up to speed. You need to train them. But again,
can be profitable.
in a law firm and in an accounting firm, there's a book, there's a manual that you can follow. You can't put a random guy into a creative job and then here's a book, you're now creative.
No.
So let's start first. What is the challenge of trying to train someone
All of our jobs would be way easier if there
or
was one.
mentoring someone in the
Mentoring
creative
someone.
space?
Assuming that they're mentorable and teachable.
Yeah. Like, well, no, what are the challenges? Like, whether they are mentorable or not, what, I guess, maybe story time. What have you experienced?
First and foremost, don't hire entry level because if you can't afford it, that's what I'm trying to say. But by all means, if it's your mission and you have a company that can afford to train someone, entry level is the best hire.
Yeah.
Because they have no preconceived notions.
They're blank slate.
They're almost a blank slate, right?
Taylor Swift.
So my earlier statement, don't hire entry level. That's if you have a specific mission in mind,
Yeah.
right? If you have a specific purpose in mind, you already know beforehand what kind of specialist
What you want to hire, yeah.
right? I will, if I was Weta Digital and I wanted to produce Lord of the Rings 5, I wouldn't hire an entry level 3D guy.
Yeah.
I don't have the time. Maybe I would hire him for another segment of the company that wasn't doing anything directly related to this big project. But if I'm putting together a team for this big project, I know exactly what the parameters are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but going back, like for you, what were your challenges training someone or trying to teach someone? I think it would be interesting for people to hear about.
honestly, the first challenge nga, if they're teachable or not. The second challenge is I've found it a lot. It's extreme. Eh?
Yeah.
It's either they have a crippling amount of self-doubt or they think they're so good but their work doesn't reflect it.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's another perspective to that question, just so you can expound. You, as a creative director, you have this internal problem-solving process or creative process, if you will. How much of that creative process do you impart on your mentees?
As much as I can, that'll still work within the process of the whole team. It's like a ship.
Yeah.
A captain has a different way of running his own ship.
Yeah.
Right. So as much as what I found that works for me, I'm gonna impart into that process, in the injecting the process. Beyond that, how they come up with their own work, how they come up with their creative process, I try to be as hands off as possible. Because my thing naman that I keep on repeating is I want to be a creative director, not a creative dictator. I hire
That's
people.
the first time I heard about that
Oh,
term.
I keep on saying it.
Yes.
Whenever I talk to my team, I keep on saying, remember, I'm a creative director, not a creative dictator. Remember, I hired you for a specific purpose. I hired you because you're strong to do this. I hired you because you're strong to do that. if you want to learn something else, then that's fine with me. But this is your role.
Yeah.
Much like a football team, if I put you in, you gotta excel in that role.
Yeah. I think that snippet is very useful because the other thing is I'm not directly a creative. I used to be a copywriter, but I've been in marketing and been a manager for longer. So I think that's where most of my priorities lie. But one thing that really strikes me there, and I guess it's a learning for me, is not all of us are trainers.
Not everyone can be a teacher.
We're not. We can impart knowledge, like Sam said.
Yeah.
But I'm not exactly a teacher.
Yeah.
There are people who are teachers, but they might not be managers. They might not even be good creative directors.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. And it's something that people should realize more in the corporate world.
It's a leadership role, and you have to have these leader qualities.
Exactly.
A good grasp on the...
That's good that you touch on those leader qualities. Because I think it also happens in the programmer space.
Yeah.
But when it comes also to the creative space, if the people under you don't respect you as a creative, they will not trust your vision. They will not trust your
judgment,
direction. They will not trust your judgment. It's the same thing with programmers. With programmers, what's the English term for pataasan ng ihi? It's not exactly pataasan ng ihi, but it's like, if you're a skilled programmer, I'm gonna follow you to the end because I know that you can do this, and I know that you have the right to teach us this.
Like, why should I listen to you if you can't even code this thing?
It's the same thing for creatives. I had experience before. I was working for a small company, and we had a creative who wouldn't listen to anybody else except me. Like, she would ignore managers. She wouldn't listen to anyone else except the creative director. Which is both an advantage and a disadvantage. Like, I love it how focused you are, but sometimes in a smaller company you have to be flexible and wear multiple hats.
You become a dependency.
So
there's value in being a generalist.
There's value in being a generalist, but more so, it just opened my eyes to certain realities within the creative sphere that unless a creative respects what you do, they're not gonna listen to you. If they think you're not a creative guy, they won't listen to you. If you're an account manager, if you're a project manager, fuck your deadlines. I'll listen to my creative director. And there's a leader. There's a lot of that. And you have to cultivate it to an extent. But not to the extent that they don't listen to the other parts of the team that need to function to keep working.
They kind of
like the traffic manager, the work manager, the project manager, God forbid the CEO, di ba?
And I guess that's where the balance can be. Like, in an ideal world, like, I believe that creatives should be paid and we should do creative work because it is good. But we live in a world with capitalism again. So I guess the balance there is, like, me speaking as a manager, my struggle is, how do I run with a creative company wherein we know what a bad creative company is, diba? If the deadlines are tight, the first thing to get cut is the creative deadline. If the client asks for a revision, we say, we have to do it. That's the first thing I would tell some. Diba? Pero how do we run a healthy creative environment? That's always been my challenge. I don't think I'm qualified to answer it. We have attempts.
We have attempts.
But how do you do that? Like,
do we have, like, I think we can share ideas even if it's a bad idea.
I mean, how much time do we have?
Well, how much time do we have?
It stems from having worked in those environments wherein you're always blamed or you don't get the recognition.
It's interesting that you bring that up about the creative's position or a creative team or a creative person's position in like the corporate hierarchy. Because from my experience, so in a creatively focused company, of course we try to put their creatives in the forefront because they're the ones that like run the company and that's your product, right? But in a lot of the companies that I've been in that have a creative department, even if they say that they're a creative focused company, more often than not, I've experienced that the creatives always take very low priority.
Yeah.
Right? I was working
Creatives, the people.
I was working for a huge company, and we were working on really old equipment, and we weren't getting upgrades to our equipment despite multiple requests, which meant that if my video editor was rendering a video and his equipment crashed,
Yeah, the restart.
Restart.
not just that, but we'd miss our deadline. Who would get blamed? Right? And this kept happening, and the only way that I was able to solve it was to stage a mini coup. I refused to accept any other work until we could get all of our work off the table. So I shut the pipeline off and I said, we're just going to work on this because this is the one that's pending right now.
Yeah.
I got into heat for it, a lot of heat for it. Other departments hated me because suddenly I stopped accepting work from them.
Yeah.
But because of that small blip in the radar, management saw, holy shit, we can't function without these guys.
Yeah.
After a week, we had new equipment.
So, pwede naman pala.
Pwede naman pala. And this is not the only company for me to experience that. I've been both a designer and a creative director in other companies, and frequently, more often than not, I was only talked to because I was an executive.
Yeah.
But our work was seen as by the numbers. Produce 100 boxes, produce 100 videos.
Exactly. Again, it goes down to it being quantifiable.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a struggle. As a business, diba? As a business, you want to be profitable. I mean, that's a basic thing. You spend less than you earn, or you earn more as you spend.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? It's really a struggle for me.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that we've been trying to do is at least for now it's a compromise.
It's
What can we do creatively that still hits this? Like,
in order to answer it, I don't have an answer to that question.
Yeah,
I
I know.
want to say, I don't think you have, right?
It's an ongoing struggle.
But in order to answer that, at least make headway into answering that question, maybe it would make us, give us better, a standpoint to answer that question if we were to take different perspectives. Okay, so we are talking about this problem from an insider's perspective.
yeah.
It's a struggle for us to make this business work because of
Yeah.
the people we serve, our customers. They don't see that. What do they see? They see the end product.
Yeah, that's all they see.
How many designers, programmers did Steve Jobs shout at in order to make the first iPod? That will never be remembered.
Yeah.
What will be remembered is he presented that iPod on the stage, right? So if we take that perspective, the customer perspective, for example, with Sneak Attack, we create this beautiful piece of clothing. The customer will never know what we went through to create. He'll never know that it's been in my notebook maybe for 2 years. He will never know that we had an argument because we couldn't hit the deadline. He'll never know that a mananahe, a seamstress walked out because they couldn't, right? They didn't understand the pattern that I was trying to have them make. They'll never know that. All they would know,
that story.
right? Fuck this, I'm out of here. They'll never know that. They'll never know that it was delayed. They'll only know that it's a good product or a bad.
So let me take a role here.
Sige. Or this is the perspective that I think we should try to.
So
baka outside
the
looking
customer will not know it was delayed, but your books will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, I'm talking about running a business or working creatives. How do you get that dough? Right? Without compromising what makes you a creative. Because I am on that side. I'm not the creative, but I want to run a creative business. Because you've heard those things. Crunch at whatever, Ubisoft, Blizzard.
Yeah.
Diba? Oh, diba?
And you've seen the effects.
Beautiful game. Customer doesn't care.
Yeah.
But what about those guys?
And on the flip side, you've also seen the effects. On the flip side, you've also seen the effects of unreasonable deadlines being pushed just to hit a quota. And it turns out into crappy games.
Diablo 4
That ends up losing the company a lot more in the beginning until it's fixed the right way. So
2 years after.
so not from the smallest business to the largest business, it's always a struggle to balance those things.
And the only like game company that kind of like figured it out is Valve. But Valve has this like release it when it's done.
Valve doesn't need to earn money because Steam makes them all the money.
Yeah.
So on a smaller scale,
So if you remove the money out of the equation,
they might need to crunch games. Like they couldn't have done Artifact.
Yeah. Artifact. What that shit game?
Right? So I hope someone can provide us with an answer or at least their perspective. But that's always on our minds.
I think there's no one correct answer. It always differ for industry, per
Personality.
situation, but per personality, per like what your goal is. I think the only correct answer is that the business must be alive for the creatives to thrive.
Yeah.
But the creatives should be allowed to thrive for the business to be alive, right?
Hey, you're arguing for my side now. Thank you.
That's a struggle, right?
If you boil the situation down, because something as very volatile, like very mercurial as being a creative, when it gets put up against the ultimate like quantifier,
The bottom line.
money, it gets there on really fast.
Yeah.
So there's this kind of like a compromise.
If you'd allow me to take a different route on this.
Sige.
So, like, going into these big corporations, it's one of our, my pet peeves is the gurus.
The success guru.
So Gary V, I have nothing against him. He has very useful stuff. He's
Gary Vaynerchuk.
not Valenciano, not Mr. Energy.
I love Gary.
But there are some pieces of advice. Actually, let me take a step back. I see myself as the anti-guru. Gurus speak from a place that you don't know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
It's privilege, it's luck, it's timing.
It's success.
And they're in a different country, different world, etc. You don't know what they went through to get there. So take advice with a grain of salt. That's what I really, really believe. You don't take it at face value. If they say that you should sell
your house and move back with your parents.
or sell fried watercress, that it will make you a millionaire, it won't necessarily happen. So going back, Gary Vaynerchuk has some very useful advice, but some of it also comes from a place of privilege. One of the things he says that's related to what we're talking about is always starting with kindness, always starting with care. But it's very easy to care if you have money, if your business is thriving. So picture this. You're a struggling business. It's hard to give your employees free mental health care when you can't even pay your bills. So
Can't even pay for your own mental health.
yeah. So there's that situation. So that's really one of the things that I'm quite passionate about, that you can't apply all of these things to what's currently happening to you.
It's nice to listen to these success stories.
Yeah,
because them having achieved some measure of success in their lives to be able to talk about it. Parang the tendency is to think, hey, you've done it.
Yeah.
Maybe you can teach me how you did it.
Yeah.
But I think to that point,
Possible.
you can do it if you were given the right set of circumstances.
Being
They
born
were-
white.
People
I don't know if you
not
can
being
keep that
born in
in.
the Philippines.
In a first world country.
But not to knock on whatever he's done. I'm sure he's the most hardworking. He has
Actually, he has good predictions.
yeah.
Like,
he
he
has
has-
good bets.
Yeah.
Facebook, PayPal.
Facebook, PayPal, LinkedIn, and then before when TikTok still wasn't TikTok.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest thing. I was
He
like
was-
watching Gary Vaynerchuk. I was like,
He was all over that.
what the hell is TikTok? Invest in TikTok, invest in I would if I had any money, but I don't even know what TikTok is. And then now look what TikTok is.
Yeah.
Like it's the juggernaut that it is right now.
Exactly,
Right? So
exactly.
I mean, he has nuggets of really good information, but you should always take them in context, as with any other success guru. You should always take them in context, like, how were you able to achieve this?
Yeah.
Where did you get some fund money from your parents?
Yeah.
Did you own a vineyard?
Yeah.
You own a vineyard,
Exactly. It does. They own a wine business.
right? A wine.
Like what if you took it at face value? Like one of the things I would have taken away from it is I should have been investing in the housing market in 1997 instead of being a high school student.
You were in high school in 1987? No, you weren't.
Yes.
1987, you're 7 years old. Oh, no, you were like... No.
97.
I was 97.
Yeah.
97.
I was 7 years old.
Yeah. No way. Shut up.
6 years old.
6 years old.
I was a 91, baby.
You were?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
91.
Okay, thanks for making me feel old. But I think if there's something that you want to take away from Gary Vee, because let's just keep talking about Gary Vee, because we're talking about him already, is you have to have his sense of persistence. I can sense from the way that he talks, he's a very persistent person.
Yes.
And he's a very curious person. Like, he learns everything that's needed to learn about something. That's why he can make those decisions, right? So, tama, it's correct to say, don't take it at face value.
Yes.
Learn his motivations. Learn how he did it.
Read between the lines.
Read between the
Why
lines.
is he telling you this?
Look at the process. Don't look at the results.
Exactly.
That's what you need to take away from success gurus if they're truly successful, right?
Yeah.
If they're truly, because they're like fake success gurus. Like they think
lot
a
of
lot,
fake
and that's become almost an industry into itself.
It is. That's the whole NFT space.
Like you're speaking from a position of authority.
Yeah.
I mean, a certain bulk alpha male is the poster boy for that's his entire personality.
Right? And they make good money from it.
Yeah.
And that's not knocking their hustle. But if you want to follow these guys, read between the lines.
Yeah.
Why are they doing it? Are they really successful in doing it? How did they get there?
Exactly. You don't look at him and follow what he's saying, whoever they are. It's more, if that's what you're aiming for, then follow that hustle.
Yeah.
How many times are they uploading in a day? That's the thing.
How many days in advance are they prepared for those uploads?
How many young Romanian was it? Girls are they keeping in the basement? Was it Romania?
Yeah.
I think
Was
so.
it so, right?
Some Eastern European.
Yeah, diba? Like,
Eastern Bloc.
bro, he could speak with success because he has a freaking sweatshop of Romanian chatty girls.
Just don't follow the motivation
Diba?
of getting arrested.
Don't get blinded by the
I'm
results.
gonna mark the audio for this part.
No, this is Nocturnal Transmissions.
To cut
we
out.
need to
I love
talk
that.
about.
Don't get blinded by the results. That's beautiful
Yeah.
because this reminds me of a quote a very nice bald man told us. We were at Singapore last year, Sneaker Con Southeast Asia,
Right.
and we had the pleasure of meeting Jeff Staple. He was a guest there at the con.
Shout out Jeff. I know you'll watch this. I'll text later.
When you posted those photos, I was super jelly. Like, chapstick.
Like you'd think that someone that has achieved that level of success, fame, would be a success guru.
Yeah.
Like talk with very, very deep business terms and all of that stuff. But We talked to him. We thanked him. We had a short chat, and he told us, "Hey,
Actually, as he was walking away,
yeah,
we said something. We
Yeah.
said, "Hey, congratulations!"
yeah, we congratulated them.
Right?
We released the book.
So we had like a 10-minute conversation. That was pretty long conversation. Because he hung out by our booth and he
Yeah.
looked at our clothing.
yeah,
And then when he started to walk away,
Yeah, we
Dwight
said,
"Hey,
"Congrats."
thank you, congrats."
yeah. He had the book. He had the sneaker.
He stopped walking, and he turned back.
For what? Yeah,
For what?
yeah. For what?
And we were like,
For everything.
for everything. Yes, I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
Like you said, like for everything.
Yeah, for the collab.
For the collab,
Yeah.
for the books, for his tour in Southeast
Yeah.
Asia.
Yeah.
Just for being Jeff Staple.
Yeah.
And what did he say?
And he went, maybe I'm paraphrasing here, but it's just work. It's just work. Don't let the hype get to you.
Oh.
And
It's like not like we're letting the hype get to us.
Yeah.
We were hyped to be there.
yeah.
But him at that level reminding us, no, this is work. You should apply professionalism to it. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Actually, there's kind of like a conversation like that happening right now with the YouTube like community, like the top like YouTube creators.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Beast.
Tom Scott, if you're familiar with him,
Yeah.
he recently like announced that he was going to be
Stepping back, yeah.
Oh, so like Matt Pat and all of those people.
yeah.
Actually, there was a lot of stepping back this year.
Yeah.
I think we can.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a quote in his video. He said like, doing YouTube is dream job,
But it's a job.
Yeah.
job.
Still a job.
So yeah, there is this like level of this is still work. This
Yeah.
is still creative work.
It is creative work,
work.
but it's also work.
It's also
And
work.
I think what's important as a creative doing work is you never lose that fire.
Yeah.
And although it's played out, you never lose that passion
Yeah.
to do creative work.
Yeah.
And for my personal experience, and I think for many creatives also, what we've fallen in love with is not the process. It's not the result, but the process.
Process. Yeah.
The process of doing that work.
Yeah.
When you're in that space, when you're in that flow of making something from your mind and putting it on paper or into the computer, and then it becomes real.
Yeah.
That's the most successful feeling that you can get without getting lots of money.
Yeah.
If you get lots of money, fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Actually, that's a
But-
very good like.
Please pay the creatives.
Yes.
Please.
Sorry, yeah.
Pay the
Yeah.
creatives.
Please pay because we need to eat too.
We're big fans of food.
We're fans of food.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna
Adobe
show you my empty
subscription is
fridge.
not cheap.
We need to pay for OnlyFans. I think it all boils down to like never losing that spark.
Yeah. Actually, there's kind of like a little story here. Whenever I would like get into conversations with creatives that I'm working with or training or mentoring, I would always ask them at one point or another, like, what it is in the creative process that you really like doing. Like not receiving the output,
No.
but like actually doing. Because this is a conversation that I had with Jab Escutin, my old boss. Like, okay, when I was starting to like climb the ladder, and I was getting put into, I think that was when I was the operations manager for esports.
Oh wow, you were in
Friendly
operations.
sports. Yeah.
That's a whole.
That's a whole
Different
other
ball-
thing. Yeah,
ballgame,
that's like 30% creative and 70% managerial. So I like within like 2 months of doing it, I asked Jab like, Jab, can I still like edit videos? Because I realize now that
I want to do it.
I want to
You
keep
miss
doing
it.
Yeah, I miss it,
Yeah.
and that's the one thing that like I would probably never stop doing for the rest of my life, because I have like a film background. I like it was said many times before in this episode, I graduated fine arts visual communication, but my specialty was in film.
Oh,
So
did you like going back? Did you come in and like into that course like wanting to be a filmmaker?
Yes, kind of. I was mainly into the visual arts, but I did not have like this super like concrete Like I'm not to be.
You just loved film.
Yeah, I just loved watching films when I was young. But around like second year or third year, that's when I realized that I make films, edit films, on like VFX.
Right.
Yeah, that's my main background, like doing VFX. So yeah, that was the thing. That was kind of like a wake up moment for me. Like, okay, I'm managing people and I kind of enjoy it, but I still want to edit videos. I don't care what kind of video. It's not shooting videos, not hosting videos. I still want to edit.
This is the favorite part of running your channel, the editing video.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
That's why that
timeline.
looking at the this is like untapped potential right here.
Right.
But yeah, there's this that's why I asked the creatives, like, what's the most like what's your favorite part of the process? Because there's this notion that if you can make part of my job as like your creative director or your manager is, how do I monetize that process? If you like doing it and I have to make money off you, how do I monetize that part? So that's kind of like a big, what do you call that? Like a turning point or like a merging point for the two processes of like work and creative. That, okay, if this is what you like doing, then this is what we're going to make money off. When I was graduating, I asked my most favorite professor from UP Diliman College of Fine Arts, Sir Leonilo Doloricon, God rest his soul. I asked him when I graduated. That was the night when we were awarded like our thesis, best thesis stuff. I asked him, so sir, gonna be making like my portfolio or my first like demo reel for these things. Do you have any advice? Because of course I want to be successful in this industry. And there's this like, this is the most golden nugget of wisdom I have ever received in my entire creative life. Like,
shower me with your golden.
Like, up to now, like
R. Kelly.
Oh God, R. Kelly, this thing. This is like the best thing I have ever heard in my entire creative life. Like, he said, don't fill up your portfolio with your best work.
Oh?
Fill up your portfolio with the things that you like doing. So people are gonna pay you to do the things you like. Because if your best work was done with like you crying blood the entire time,
Or just you trying to pay rent.
you trying to pay rent, that's what you're going to be paid for the rest of your life. Suffering.
That's good.
But if you fill it up with stuff that you enjoyed doing and you love the process, even if it's not your best work, it's going to get better over time, but you're always going to get paid to do the things you love.
I'm gonna make a demo reel where I'm just sleeping.
I feel the golden nugget shower.
Why you have to put a nugget? It's just a golden shower.
and that's great work.
Yeah.
Because I think that's great advice kasi it's almost similar to the very overused quote of if you love what you're doing, you won't work a day in your life. And realization has hit me that that's not true. That's like
not true.
very
It's still work.
it's still work.
It's still work.
But at least it's work that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And that quote, I think, is a way for you to manifest that work, to attract that work, right? Because that's actually a nice pragmatic quote, despite it sounding very golden nuggety.
Golden nugget.
Right?
And it's not turning what you love into work. It's at least when you wake up on that day and you're stressed, you still love what you're doing. Yes. You have an answer like, oh shit, why am I waking up today? Oh, yeah.
I'm monetizing myself.
Acknowledging that this is work, but at least I like doing it and I'm being paid for it.
And I'm gonna say it again for the mark.
Yeah.
So that because I fucked it up earlier.
Yeah.
But in order to do that best work, you have to fall in love with the process and not the result.
Not the result.
That
Mark that because I fucked it up the first time I said it.
and it still coincides with what Jeff Staples said, right? So, getting drawn into the hype,
Yes.
it manifests in riding on the highs of winning an award, getting 1 million views, but that comes with, if you don't get the award, your self-worth goes down. If you get 10 views, you are the worst editor, creative.
If you do it for the applause.
Exactly. So that perfectly goes into, I guess, maybe one of our last topics, which is, and it's quite popular, especially among the younger people. We didn't grow up with this. It's taking care of yourself.
Is this our
Mental
mental
health.
health topic?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this topic.
So creative, as we said, is hard to quantify. It's qualitative, meaning you're judged on the quality of it.
Yeah.
Like if I'm a car salesman, I'm judged on the numbers. It's very easy. I know when I didn't sell a car.
Yeah.
But if you are designing a car and the CEO says, this sucks,
Yeah.
and you put 90% of yourself in that car design,
There's an argument to be had there. Like, for you,
I'm-
it sucks.
that's me.
I'm gonna go buy an e-bike.
Oh, God. So that's how you create villains. But there,
Riding an e-bike.
you put yourself into the work and the work is rejected.
Yeah.
And that comes with a lot of stress, anxiety, depression, and then not wanting to do it again, not wanting to interact with people,
like the trauma.
avoiding rejection, so playing it safe, staying in your comfort zone. So I guess from our perspective, maybe let's start with Kebs. What are some things you do to help your guys and yourself with just a little bit of thinking about mental health or just the self?
I'll start with, for me, the way I handle my creative, or the way I handle my self, what do you call that, self-care, kind of self-care outlet is very easy. It's called the Kevin Evangelista YouTube channel. That's how I take care of
Right here, the link is right there.
Where is it? Here?
It's a place where I'm not bound by deadlines. And I am not fully pressured to make any money off of my art. I just get to do what I love and handle awesome stuff.
Creative outlet.
Creative outlet.
You manage your parang self-care with doing something that you like, having a creative outlet where you have a very good amount of control over.
Yeah, a good amount of control over and very little pressure applied on myself. I'll release the video when it's done.
Question of the pressure applied to yourself.
Yeah.
When the channel becomes bigger,
Yeah.
it needs to look at different realities.
Yeah. That's something that I've kind of tackled before. The kind of KPIs that I set for myself. Because very early on in the channel, that was the thing that I wanted to tackle. I wanted to grow. So I was posting 2 videos a week. To be looking like this, looking like this. It has to be shorter. It has to be much more energetic. And I kind of tackled this on a Facebook post semi-recently. I kind of stopped doing that when I realized that I didn't like making YouTube videos for my channel. Because I felt like I was putting too much pressure on the thing. It's like I want to achieve a thing that I don't want.
Oh, you're trying to chase the algorithm.
I was trying to chase the algorithm, or even not even the algorithm. I want to reach 10K, but the way I'm getting there is not the way I
want to get there.
I want to get there. So yeah, I changed that perspective entirely. I want I'll get there when I get there, but I always want to maintain the quality that I want to maintain. So that's
It's your own terms.
That is knowing where you're going, but enjoying the ride.
It feels like I don't have to push on the gas like too much, and I can enjoy, like, when you're driving too fast, you can't see the things that, oh, this is a good view, then it's gone. I have to go into a tunnel. So it's kind of like that. Like, I want to enjoy.
Do you earn? Is it okay to ask if you earn from your channel?
Yeah, I earn I earn enough to
edit the next video.
The difference is
I earn enough to spoil my daughter.
the difference is you earn it, but it's not your main source of income.
It's not my main source.
Where it becomes hard, and it's different for other people, is when it becomes your living.
So this is for this one is for the day job.
The bigger creators talaga who really rely on their channel to keep them alive from day to day.
Yeah, or even artisans, diba? Like,
I bet it becomes a challenge of how much of your soul you're willing to sell.
this is a small plug for one of our recent shirts. So, sponsored.
Is it gonna be here?
Is it
Somewhere there?
down here?
So we recently released a design for a shirt that talks about hustle and how it comes in many shapes.
Yes.
We talked about success gurus, right? Like, success is often portrayed as a Ferrari, as a suit, going to a yacht, but hustle,
Successful fried watercress.
yes. So, but hustle or working for it is also the anxiety,
Oh yeah.
the problems, sleeping it off. A lot of things come into working hard and working on your craft. And one of the people we talked to that was featured in our Facebook page, link down below, is Alexis David Cole. He's a photographer, and one of the things he told us when we interviewed him about the shirt is there's this problem that your passion also pays for what puts food on the table, the bills. And you build a resentment towards it.
Yeah. Suddenly you don't enjoy it.
Yeah. So there's no real answer, but what he did is he shot stuff for himself.
Yeah.
Exactly what Kev said. He started shooting scenery. He's a commercial photographer. Fashion shoots for magazines, portraiture. And he just shot for himself. And it helped him enjoy photography again. So that's one of the things that has worked for him. Full disclaimer, we are not psychology experts. We are fucked up people. So take this with me. But I guess it's nice to hear those things that your passion becomes your work. But
it for the younger people especially,
Yeah.
the younger ones, it's like a dream.
yeah,
Especially when they think, oh, I can make money doing the thing that I love.
exactly.
Wow.
Instagram
Win-win.
tells you that all of your passions are monetizable.
If that was true, I'd be a rock star right now.
But I guess what we're trying to say is it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. And if it is, then find ways to take care of your flame.
You could be an amazing employee, right? Quitting your job and starting your own brand, it might not be for you.
It sounds sexy.
It sounds so sexy, but it's paved with a lot of pitfalls in mental health, pitfalls in relationships, and pitfalls in the way that you view your relationship with your work.
Yeah. Super.
Like if you watch Shark Tank, if you watch all of the success gurus, you think that it's so sexy to do this, right?
And you think it's so easy.
Even if they tell you it's hard, they tell you being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. It's hard.
Yeah.
But then someone comes out, hey, I invented this new thing, and I could do that.
Yeah.
That's so easy, right? But then you did. That's what you did, right? When Magellan like went around, or was it Columbus? When he went around, circumnavigated the globe, people said like, hey, we could have done that. That's easy. And then he said
you
like,
do it?
because it's easy because I showed you how to do it.
Yeah.
It's easy because I did it. Did you do it first?
And those success gurus, you know that they say it's hard?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard.
How hard?
How long, like,
is.
5 years of hard work is, and not sleeping and working.
With no guarantees of success.
Yeah. And what? So, this is one of I forgot it. This is one of my favorite logical fallacies, I guess. It's survivorship bias.
Yeah.
What you're seeing are the 1%, 0.1% that have succeeded. And I guess to help us manage our mental health, I guess, is not all of us will be billionaires. It's impossible. Like, if it was that easy, no one is a billionaire. Yeah.
Maybe you would make like an excellent employee. You'd climb that career ladder, and then you could carve out time for yourself to find that golden work.
Yeah, so you have a 9 to 6 job. You can be with your kid right after.
You can. Well, not in Manila traffic. You'll be with your kid like 11 p.m. and you have to sleep. And your kids asleep and they're going to retire. Yeah. But if you know and entrepreneurship, and in this, just keep it in this, creative entrepreneurship might not be for you. It might sound interesting, it might sound fun, it might sound sexy, but really consider if you want to really be a working creative.
Yeah.
Because you can function very well as a working creative in a big corporation if you can stomach it.
Yeah.
Right? Then maybe you like section all of that time for work, and when in your 9 to 5 p.m. you leave all your work in the office.
Yeah.
That's in Carlo Ople's book and 7 to 1 principle. So again, shout out to
be here.
Carlo Ople. So
Love your book.
I never know where it's gonna be.
so the 7 to 1 principle is your 8 to 5, 9 to 6 is you have your day job, and then 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. is where you work on your dreams.
Follow that
Right?
principle.
So there are some crazy people who will quit everything, pursue their dreams. There's nothing wrong with that.
And some of them really do it.
Yeah.
Because they have the talent, they
have
have the
the grit.
persistence,
Yeah.
and they have the opportunity.
Exactly.
Maybe they have the privilege. Maybe you never know.
We never know, but that shouldn't be the rule.
Yeah.
That's the exception.
And it shouldn't be your motivation.
Exactly.
You shouldn't quit your job because I'm going to become a billionaire with a big business.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be your only motivation for doing it, because 100% you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You should have a mission when you quit your job. Why?
Coming into it with the wrong mindset, basically.
Right?
And that sets you up for the wrong expectations.
Yep.
That's what social media is telling you. Everyone on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok are posting their vacations. They're posting their new car, their promotion, their expensive dinner every night with their beautiful spouse or whatever. But they're posting their highlight reel. I fall into this trap.
Even if you know what it is.
I know it is.
Right? You know it's highlight.
I know Mark Zuckerberg hates me and serves the worst kind of shit on Facebook.
You know it.
But when I view it, like, oh shit, my life sucks.
It hits those little chemical receptors in your brain.
It keeps me there, like, oh shit, who do I need to hate today?
And then you're doom scrolling.
Yeah.
And then you're doom scrolling, and that's not good for your mental.
That's not good for you. So, I'm not telling you to quit Facebook or Instagram, but take it with a grain of salt.
I would if I could.
Take it with a grain of salt. People are posting their highlights.
Yeah.
Don't compare it to your lowlights.
Yeah. And there's also this kind of like subscribing to it entirely isn't like a bad thing in it of itself, but sooner or later you're going to have to
Exactly.
face the reality.
Yeah.
Even with age, age is a big determining factor.
It's the great equalizer.
The great equalizer. When you're young, you can do the hustle. When you're older, You can.
Yeah.
That's a simple fact of life.
You can only do the hassle.
You can only do the hassle.
And then until you become the hassle.
A big example
I can't
of
wait
this.
for that.
Oh, what do you want to... Nurse! I'm feeding my diapers! Nurse!
I need my Valium.
A big example of this was my transition from working in the esports industry to corporate work. Because when I was in the esports industry, I was doing the same thing. I was a creative director for the esports industry, but the esports industry is a very young industry, very fast moving and very fast growing. To be late by 1 day is to be late by 2 weeks, basically. So when my daughter was born, I was still working the esports industry. And that time I had to do everything. Well, it was also the pandemic, so it was kind of like a challenge for everyone. But I would come into the office at like 10 in the morning and I would stay there at the 10 in the evening making sure that everything was done. Because if anything creative was late for that day, it might have been late for like 2 weeks. So I subscribed to that mentality for like a few years. End of 2022, going into 2023, I left the esports industry and moved to here, basically, the advertising marketing industry. And that was the time that I started like adopting yung 7-to-1 format in Carlo. So what my day looks like now is I wake up 9, then since I took a bath the evening before, I would just morning routine, eat a bit of breakfast, brush my teeth, go to work. I'll be at work at around 10:30. Then I would work the entire day until I have to leave by 7 p.m. I always leave by 7 p.m. Since traffic is hell in Manila, I would get home by around 8:30. Then I would have dinner with my wife and my kid. Then starting like 9:30 up until like 11:30, I just spend it with my kid. Like this is time that I never got to do during my
But you're in esports.
Esports is so fast paced, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a brutal industry also.
Yeah, I would leave the house, my kid is sleeping, and I would come to the house, kid is already asleep.
But would you say your work now is easier?
It's still the same.
Right?
There's just better structure.
It's better compartmentalization. Is that what it is?
Organization. Because I was doing the same thing. I was managing creatives. I was doing creative work.
I guess it comes like that year also gave you that perspective.
Yeah. And yeah, like finishing off the day, I would like go to bed with the kid and get her to sleep. She sleeps around 12.
When would you work on your on your hobby?
She would
On your passion, when would you work on your on your hobbies?
She would go to sleep at around 12:30. I would wake up, go outside and work on my YouTube videos up until like 2:30 in the morning. Then like take a bath, go to sleep.
You'd record and edit and
That's when I would shoot my videos, edit.
oh, that's why you have that very sexy bedroom voice.
Yes.
In your videos.
Yes.
You can't wake up the kid.
That's why my voice always sounds really good. Because that's when I was.
Because you
Modulating.
spend most of the time, most of the day screaming at your creatives.
my voice would have raspy.
There you get really gravelly.
But that's also when that's also how I keep like the nice bedroom voice in the videos because I can't raise my voice or the kid would wake up.
Right, exactly. What Kebs is describing would be very temptingly be able to be described as work-life balance.
Yeah.
Right? Do you believe in work-life balance?
I read a lot of stuff. So some of what I will say, or I may say, might be reciting from those. But to me,
How about in your own personal experience?
I'm struggling to detach myself from what I may have read, because I am not immune to propaganda.
You're not influencer, you are influenced.
Yes. But I guess at this moment, what I believe is work-life balance is something that we can aspire to. But there's this thing called work-life integration.
That's what I was leading to. Thank you for taking me to that river.
Wherein work works for me, for my life, I guess. It's not perfect. It's hard.
You need to find your own system also.
It's hard. I don't think I'm successful
Yet.
or
Always add
Instagram
that.
is telling me
Always
that.
add that yet to the end.
But I guess like Kebs, I can spend time with my cat. I have some time with my wife, although it's not yet where nothing's perfect. I would love to spend more time
With your cat and your wife.
talking a bit more, not being on the phone all the time. Like, I'm really bad at that. Like,
Bring your work home.
yeah. And it's a good thing and I don't work in cremation and
It's a good thing you're not a mortician.
I'm not a mortician. I bring it
Honey, I had to bring my work home.
Working from home today.
But like the small things, you're having dinner, you're having a conversation, and then you're checking an email. I'm really, really bad at that.
Yeah.
I try to be better, but it's progress. But work-life integration works. But again, privilege, I own the businesses.
Yeah.
So I'm not beholden specifically to a time. Some people are beholden to a time. So I'm not saying that you should do this, but I can work anytime and it's double-edged. I can work anytime. So I can take care of my cat right now and then do it later or have someone else do it for me, but I have to work at any time. Because if a customer contacts us with a problem,
I think that situation is what I was alluding to when I was saying that it's perfectly okay to be a star employee. Because at least if you're a star employee, when you leave work there.
Yeah.
You think running a business is sexy? Wait till you're like up awake at 2 a.m. trying to deal with customers.
It's kind of sexy.
wait until right? wait until you're staring down the barrel of a gun and you don't know what to do with your company if it's gonna go belly up the next day. You never know, right? And I think that's why I find work-life integration so. I think I heard it from Chris Do first.
Yeah, I think so.
Before Chris Do was
I thought Chris doing somewhere.
Chris Do.
He also has a book.
Is he here?
He also has a book by it.
This book here. All right.
Pocket full of dough.
And he used to run this thing with a partner. It's called The School. That's when I first heard of him. He wasn't solo yet. He was running it, The School, and I don't think it was the future yet.
Yeah.
And he was talking about work-life integration. And that's when it clicked for me. It's like there's work-life balance where you try to do everything at work, and then when you get home, you spend everything else just lying on the couch like a potato or enjoying your right. That's not work-life balance. That's being totally depleted at work, and then when you get home, you don't have quality time to spend with your family, or more importantly, yourself.
So you had to struggle with that for a bit, and then left.
Is that
sports.
living to work?
Living
It's
to
that
Living to work and working to live.
Working to live.
Yeah.
That's another way to put it also. Whereas if you truly care, you don't. Here's the thing: you don't even have to love what you're doing right now. Sometimes I hate design, but then I love it so much, right? I have dreams about it. I have dreams like, oh, if the pants were shaped this way, they could I could put a pocket there, and then I could if I took off the cuffs from the pants, I could put it in those pockets, and then those pockets can also carry shoe protectors, stuff like that. And then I wake up and I list it down. Oh, when can we do this? Right?
Yeah.
So if you really, you don't even have to love it all the time. You just have to care about it.
Yeah.
You just have to breathe it.
Yeah.
You just have to integrate it into your
I think what you said about that flame or that fire is that fire should be strong enough to weather through the days that you hate it. Right?
Yeah. It should be strong enough to keep you warm in the days that are cold, but not too strong that it's gonna burn you and you're gonna burn out.
Exactly. So
It shouldn't be asking 100% of you all of the time.
Correct.
because you can't always be at love, right? It's hard.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a designer?
No.
Do you consider yourself an editor?
I consider myself, mainly
Like if you're asking me, I would say I'm a designer.
yeah.
If I would ask you, what would you describe yourself as?
I would always consider myself an editor and an artist.
What do you describe yourself as? Aside from a hot dog. Hot dog sa freezer.
Chilling in the ref. Wait. So, like what I'm doing right now, or
No, what do you identify as? Like, cause guys, for Kevs, if I ask him, he said, and if you ask me, I'm a designer.
I'm a writer.
You're a writer.
Because I started in writing, and it's one thing that I can keep doing. I could write a deck, I could write copy.
Have you written for yourself lately?
I've started journaling because of
interesting.
iOS 17.
Yeah.
They have a journal and it has prompts. So now I feel like I'm ChatGPT. But yeah, there's that. But for a long while, the only things that I've written for myself are, coincidentally, for Sneak Attack. That's what I feel that I'm writing for myself. Like when we wrote the script for the Big Boy Chenko.
Oh, that was funny.
That was super fun
funny.
to do. And it was
Actually filming it also, seeing it come to life. And
it was frictionless.
Yeah.
We wrote it, we laughed,
Yeah.
and then hey,
done.
they're actually doing it.
Is that the packable?
Yeah.
We got really surprised that we were allowed to pour water over Anti-Shoe.
Anti-Shoe.
It was
He
like
was
super
so
game.
cool.
And we were like really nervous, like
And it was so cold right after.
yeah, right after, because like the studio was air conditioned.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, we have to do it.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we wrote this into the script.
But he was so game to do it, and he wanted to do another take, but we didn't because he was so wet.
So that you wrote that for work, but you also felt like you were writing it for yourself. Like you basically got pleasure from it.
I guess yes. Well, I guess I would define writing for myself is I wrote it and I liked seeing it. I probably don't care that no one else would watch it.
Yes.
But you 50-50.
Yeah.
50% solving a problem and 50%
Yeah.
self-serving.
Yeah.
And the bonus is like that collab sold out.
Yeah.
I don't think it was my writing that did it, but it's fun to think about it.
Just remember, this is super not related, but the shirt that I bought, the final post shirt,
Yeah.
missing.
What? Someone stole it?
Lost it. I know.
Oh, you lost it.
Lost it.
I still have all three.
I'm gonna add that to stolen,
Ah,
because
yeah.
a lot of our stuff that we've sold to customers who've become friends,
Yeah.
sometimes they go missing, sometimes they get stolen.
Yeah.
There's one that has CCTV
That's
footage.
CCTV footage of it being stolen. So I'll chalk that up to
Stolen.
maybe the laundry stole it.
Yeah, I think the laundry people stole it.
They were like,
I know what this is.
I know what this is. This is
This is mine now. But yeah. Did you?
That was the first time we met? Or second time?
That was the second time.
Yeah.
That was the first time
We
I shot
met
you guys.
during the launch with Ronald Ventura.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I asked that is because I read this quote, like the internet is full of quotes, right? So like success gurus, you got to be careful on which ones you believe, because a lot of them are crap, right?
Yeah.
But there was this quote that was by a famous author, the name escapes me right now, that write for yourself. Wait, I think it was Charles Bukowski. Are you familiar with Bukowski? I think it was Charles Bukowski who said, write something for yourself and don't tell anyone, don't show it to anyone, write it on a piece of paper, make it the most beautiful thing that you've ever written, crumple it up and throw away.
No, I googled it. I haven't found it. But there's one by
I like his poems because he's a very sort of like a depressed the guy, the way that he makes his poetry.
Depressed.
He's like the depressed
it's
poet.
along the lines of J.D. Salinger.
Almost, yes.
Yeah.
Along those lines.
There's this quote that says, "Better to write for yourself and have no public than write for the public and have no self."
Is that him?
No, it's Nicole and
It's kind of like that. I guess what he was trying to say to that, because I think he was giving advice to a group of students, and I think what he was trying to tell to those students was unless you make something that's just exclusively for yourself and you like the result of it, if you're going to make something, it ties into what you're saying earlier, it's something that you would only get pleasure from if people applauded it, then you're not really making anything of value.
yeah. And how could you write for someone else if you can't write for yourself or create for yourself? I think that's a nice note to end on.
Yeah. Has it end already? Wow. All right. Awesome. Oh, cool. Okay. So, at least editing this will be something that you love, because I like editing also, but I don't love it as much as you do, because I can get so OC with all that timeline. And thank you for joining us.
Also, with how the conversation went tonight, it was.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like minimal editing.
Yeah.
Gonna have fun rewatching this.
Yeah, I hope the people like it.
I hope they got some value from it. And this was the first, or is it the second?
It's technically the second.
It's technically the second episode of Nocturnal Transmissions.
The first of a new format.
The first of a new format, and hopefully not the last.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of topics that we have a lot of haterade to give out. we have a lot of rants to rant about.
But it's just tough love. And our friend Kirby was supposed to join us, but
I think we ran out of time.
we ran out of
Yeah.
time. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
All right.
All right. Good
See
night.
you guys.
Right.
Is it here? We turn the end.